In the last segment of this video, we would like to go through the drivers of market share. In other words, we want to identify reasons behind performance. What are some of the key motivation to drive market share upwards or downwards? So in this case, we identify 3 different reasons that can actually affect market share. So the first one is what we call a penetration share. The second one is share of wallet. And the third one is usage. Now, let me just give you a brief idea of what's going on. So a penetration share is how much people actually shop into your store, for example. So I'll say how many people come to your store, right? Because that's a penetration. So the more people comes to your store, then the better. Now, the second one is that after people come to your store, whether they actually select your brand. After you get that penetration, the next one, it will be the share of wallet, in the way that how much people actually buy your product over other products in the market. So in the way that this is actually a loyalty measure. Whether they are loyal to you, they actually spend money on you. That's a share of wallet. And the third one is actually the usage, right? Do you actually buy more, buy less? So these are the key drivers of market share. How many people comes to your store, or the percentage of people that comes to your store. Then how much they spent, and also whether they use more. So obviously if they use more, then they are heavy user. And when they are heavy user, then they spend more money. And that's what the key driver of market share. Now we're going to dive into each of these components. So the first one is the penetration share. So the penetration share is capturing the reach of a category. So if you think about market penetration, it's basically the number of customers who make the purchase, divided by the total number of customers. If it is a brand purchase, it will be total number of customers you purchase the brand, divided by the total number of customers in the market. And obviously penetration share, it will be the number of customers who purchase the brand divided by the number of customers who purchase in that category. Now, this sounds odd, but I'll just explain to you in numbers, so at least that makes it a little bit easier. So here you go. So let's say 90 people are actually buying some sort of beverages. But I mean, there are lots of beverages brands, if you think about it. So I could have buy Pepsi. I could have buy Coke. Or I could have buy just a water. So there are a lot of brands that are competing in the beverages. So suppose out of 100, let's say 10 people didn't want to buy anything, but actually 90 people actually wants to buy in that particular categories. So these are our target of interest, which is 90. Now out of 90, let's say 30 actually buy your brand. So let's say 30 buy Pepsi. So because of that, so we can say that this yellow is 30. So the penetration share, it will be the 30 out of the 90 people who actually buy the category. So here what we say is that the penetration is going to be 30 divided by 90. That is going to be your penetration share. So I hope that makes sense on the illustration of penetration share. So let's take a look at here. So in this case, so I'm going to calculate the penetration share for Coles. So as you can see here, I have 5 customers, just 5. So in this case, I'm going to calculate the penetration share. Now, the penetration share, as we can see in here, is that I have to calculate what is my brand penetration divided by the market penetration. So in here, we're going to look at some examples of penetration share in grocery retailers. Now, as we know that the penetration share is the brand penetration divided by market penetration. So let's take a look at the example that we did just now. With regards to this example, there are 90 category purchaser out of 100 total population size. So the market penetration is 90%. Now, what is the category here? Now the category purchaser is basically anyone who shops in any retailers. That's going to be counted. So it's either they're going to shop in Kohl's, or they shop in Woolies, or they shop in Aldi, or they shop in both of them. But as long as they shop in either one of that, they are considered category purchases. Now, customer number one, he shopped in Woolworth, so yes, it's considered as the category purchases. So number two, yes, it is the category purchaser. Number three, yes, because it shopped in both Kohl's and Woolies. Number four, yes, is a category purchaser. Number five is also a category purchaser. So in this case, all your data set are category purchaser. There are 5 category purchaser out of 5 customers. So we can write here that first of all, our market penetration is equals to 5 out of 5, which is equals to 1. So that's what your market penetration is. Now, so we already found out what is our market penetration. We want to find out the brand penetration. So let's calculate Kohl's. So let's focus on this quadrant here. So after you find the market penetration, the next one is to find out the brand penetration. Okay, so I'm going to write it here. Brand penetration. And that is going to be, there are 2, because we have 2 store customers, divided by 5. And that is going to be 0.4. So because of that, market share, penetration share, it's basically brand penetration divided by market penetration. Brand penetration, it's 0.4, and market penetration is 1. Anything that is divided by 1, it will be 0.4. Okay. In this case, your brand penetration is your penetration share, because your market penetration is equals to 1. So in this case, you can just find out the brand penetration, and that is going to be equivalent into your penetration share. So I hope that makes sense on how to calculate a penetration share. Now the second one is share of wallet. Now, as I said just now, share of wallet is technically a measure of loyalty. So this is what we call the SOW, or share of wallet. Now, there are different types of calculating share of wallet. It can be through a revenue. It can be a unit share of wallet as well. So a unit SOW, it's also called a share of customers, while for this share of wallet is considered as a measure of loyalty. So let's take a look at how are we going to calculate a share of wallet. Again, I'm gonna do for Kohl's. So as you can see, they are conveniently put what are the total spendings in here already. So in this case, you can calculate the total spending customers from this. So let's say customer 1 only shop at Woolworth for $50. So the total customer spending is $50. And just the exercise gets repeated. So like for example, if you have customers 3 who shop in both Kohl's and Woolies, you just have to add those up. So you'll get $200. So what is the share of wallet in here? Now the share of wallet, as we can see from the previous formula, it's how much of the brand purchases divided by the total category purchased by brand buyer. So how much is that? So you have 150. So you have 150 as your total store sales. Okay, so you have 150 for Kohl's, and divided by the total category purchases by brand buyers. So now in this case, only your customer 2 and customer 3 do shop at Kohl's, and these customers are spending $250. So in this case, your SOW, a share of wallet, in such a way that this customer are very loyal to Kohl's, but this customer is like 50-50. He shop at both Kohl's and also Woolies. So because of that, it sort of get penalized in this particular calculation. So in this case, 150 divided by 250, and that is going to be equate to 60%. Now, please calculate these two and find out the answers for that. Now, the last one is actually the heavy usage index. Now, this is actually the usage. Now, in usage, we are looking at your intensity of the use, whether actually you use more or you use less than the average market. So if you actually do shop more, for example, then it's great. It's helping the customers to speed up the sales, and that will lead to, or that will translate to, market share. So because of that, we have to calculate the heavy usage index. Now in here, the heavy usage index is determined as the average total purchases in the category by brand customers divided by average total purchase by all customer in that category. So how do I actually get that? Now, first of all, they're dealing with averages, so we need to actually convert every single thing into average. So how? So the formula is saying average total purchase by brand customers. So let's say if I'm going to work out for Kohl's again, so I only have this one. It's $250. Why do I know that it's only customer 2 and 3? Because these customers are the one who actually purchase at Kohl's. So we are not going to look at customer 1, 4, and 5 because they didn't even spend money in Kohl's. So we are only looking at customer number 2 and number 3. And this actually total up to $250. Now we are going to look at average. So how do you actually calculate average? Average is basically the total divided by the number of sample or people. So in this case, the total, it will be 50 plus 200. So that will give me 250 divided by 2. So the average for brand purchasers, so average of brand purchases for Kohl's, so I'm just going to write Kohl's, it's 50 plus 200 divided by 2, so that will be 125. So that's what the average of the brand purchases in Kohl's. Now I would like to know the average total purchase by all customers in that category. Now we have 5 customers right here because in the category there are 5 different customers and they are spending a total of $440. So as we can see from here, the average for all category, so that will be equivalent to 50 plus 50 plus 200, So I'm just gonna write that 50 plus 50, so all the way until 50 as well. So this plus this plus this plus this plus this, and that all of that divided by the number of people, that will be equivalent to 5. And if you calculate this, this will give you around 88. If I did my math correctly, that will be 88. What's the HUI or the... Now the question is, what is the HUI or the heavy usage index? So the heavy usage index is determined by 125 divided by 88, and that will give me around 1.2 something. Okay, so as I said, HUI is determined as the average of the brand purchases in Kohl's divided by the average of all categories. Now you can complete these exercises by going through what is the HUI for Woolies and also for Aldi.